Introducing CTE Repair, your trusted partner in truck and trailer maintenance. Exciting news! CTE Repair has teamed with Stickers and Scuffs this year. CTE Repair provides top-notch repair and maintenance services for your trucks and trailers. With Cleveland Ellis at the helm, you can rest assured that your vehicles are in expert hands. What sets CTE apart? Their convenient mobile service brings the expertise right to your doorstep. Whether you need routine maintenance or emergency repairs, Cleveland's got you covered. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 226-228-1150 or email cterepair@hotmail.com to schedule your service today. Cleveland and the team at CTE Repair are here to keep your trucks and trailers running smoothly. Looking to buy or sell in the London area? The Finish Line Realty team of Tracy Ellis and Jennifer Hatch at PC 275 is here to help. List your property for as low as 2.75% total commission with this amazing team. Tracy and Jen are a dynamic duo in the real estate world, dedicated to making your buying or selling experience smooth and successful. They are not only passionate about real estate, but also big supporters of racing, partnering with talented racers like Phil Givens and Connor Ellis. Contact them today and cross that finish line together.
Stickers and Scuffs, we ride. Interviewing drivers side by side, from the pits to winning strides. Stickers and Scuffs, our racing guide. Hear the roar and feel the speed. Every driver chasing dreams, from the green flag to the win. Kevin Cradle, let's begin. Stickers and Scuffs, we ride. Interviewing drivers side by side, from the pits to winning strides. Stickers and Scuffs, our racing guide. Engines roaring, crowds alive, Ontario pride by the mile. Lap by lap on the move, catch the thrill in every groove. Stickers and Scuffs, we ride. Interviewing.
Hi, buddy.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. This is one I've been waiting for, since I was probably like 10 years old, because
No doubt.
not to age him or anything like that, but this is Shawn McGlynn is joining us on the program tonight. It's an absolute honor to have him. I got to see Shawn get a win way back in 2005 at Peterborough Speedway in what was one of my favorite races ever, between Brad Graham, Mike Alguire. They made contact, or at least some lap cars in front of them did, and Shawn squeaked by to get the win at Peterborough Speedway. He's returned to the OSS in the last couple of years, and we get to have him on the show. Shawn, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you?
Excellent.
Awesome,
Right on.
Excellent. Well, you made the trip back to the OSS. Didn't work, I guess, as well as you were hoping. Maybe the last year you kind of had the best car at Delaware. It didn't work out for you in the end, but working through some things, brought a new, I guess, a new car to the table. And the 9 car last year did some limited starts. How were things feeling coming back to the OSS?
Well, it's always great racing that series. Have a lot of fun in it. This year we're going to work with a new car. We got a couple new ones actually that we're putting together, and I think they're going to be front running cars. So we're going to use one of them for me to try and compete for the championship this year, and the other one to rent out.
That's awesome to hear.
Great to hear.
Yeah, you've 5 of these championships now, and as you've seen on socials, you've grabbed a couple of these chassis. There's no downtime to speak of around there, right?
No, every time one comes up for sale, if it's the right price, I try and snap it up, and the plan is to rather than have it sitting around and not being used, try and get it put together with some of the used parts we have and some of the new parts and get another race car out there on the track and keep this series rolling strong.
Nice.
Definitely love to hear that. It's one of those series, like I said, it goes back years. In fact, it was formerly known as the CASCAR um, Sportsman Series, and is still running now as the OSS. And I want to know, kind of, Sean, for you, we got your brother on the podcast last year, and so we had to get you on this year to talk about the McGlynn legacy, and we've got to talk about Roger, man. He is probably the best thing about OSS. I love getting to chat with him. He's so much fun. And how long have you guys been at this deal now since you started racing?
I started racing in 1987, but my dad had cars back in '69 was the first year he put an oval car together for Flamborough Speedway. And he raced Ford back then and ran for a few years. And then in the mid 70s, late 70s, he got someone else to drive the car because it was too much work maintaining it and driving it. So he enjoys building the engines and working on the cars and changing the setups and trying different things. So he loves to be innovative. And he had Ken McElroy drive for him years ago, and then Bob Vale drove for him, and um, um, Ron Ling drove a race for him. Who else did we have? Scott Lindsay in the car one time. Um, I think Lane Zardo drove the car now in recent years for him. Who else? I think one time we loaned a car to Pete Shepard because he was leading the points and his car got wrecked. And I think it was like a triple 50 weekend or something like that. And so Pete the second was running a 79 car, service station car. And he needed a car that night. So we loaned him a car to keep him in the points. And he won the points that year. So that was cool. I think we loaned a car to, or maybe it was just an engine to Paul Mathers one year. They were short on engines and um, kept him running strong. And yeah, so my dad's contributed to the sport for a lot of years and he loves it. And I don't think there's anything he lives for more than that. So
What's it like?
Kind of
What's it
keep.
like
Sorry.
with the family dynamic being, because you guys been racing together for a long time.
yeah, like we're when we started out, I think racing wasn't quite as technical then. And there were like we've learned so many things since I started driving. So over the years, everything just gets a little more technical, and they learn more setup tricks and different ideas. And like the early years I raced, the lap times didn't really increase. We learned things over the years. The cars got a little better, but they didn't get maybe a half a second quicker a lap. But in most recent years, the cars are like 2 seconds a lap quicker than they used to be. So like the technology really came a long way. And then I'd say in the last 10 years, 8 to 10 years, I don't think there's been any major strides. The cars are kind of the same speed as they were 10 years ago. There's a lot of new ideas and things people are trying. Might be working a little bit better here and there, maybe pick up something on entry or pick up something on in the middle, and maybe you had to sacrifice something somewhere else for it. But the cars, for the most part, are about the same speed now that they've been for 10 years. So yeah, like just finding that right balance and getting the car fast is what we're all trying to do. And uh, we have fun trying. My dad and I, we have different ideas, so working together on the same car is kind of hard. Um, and Chad, my brother, when he races with dad, he's more he's more forgiving. He lets dad do whatever he wants on the car, and they can get along a little better that way.
I just want to double back for a quick second, staying with your dad kind of for a minute, because that's kind of the throwback to like kind of the same era as Doug Kennington is in terms of brand loyalty and that sort of thing, where they're just like diehard Mopar and Dodge and just as Roger McGlynn's diehard Ford Power, and is there is the parity is there as much brand, like, is it as vital now, or is it just because of the the old school way where you beat the drum loud and proud for that brand, or what is it? It just is there anything to gain by swapping manufacturers at all anymore?
Well, I think there aren't too many guys that are brand loyal anymore. If Ford puts something out a little faster, or the rules suit the Ford engine a little that year, then there are
Yeah.
a lot of guys that if it's not too expensive to swap to that, they're going to go to it. And
Hmm.
it's more where can you get the advantage?
Yeah.
I'm not. I used to be loyal to Ford, but now I'm pretty much like whatever
Yeah.
fast when I push the pedal. That's all I care about. So.
Yeah.
But my dad is still all Ford, and Chad, he's all Ford. So yeah, there's still brand loyalty out there. And you're right. When you compare my dad to Doug Kennington, it's there are a few diehard guys out there, and that's their thing. And he's the Dodge man, and Dad's the Ford man.
Yeah.
And
It's just that's it.
yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of Chevy guys out there, that's for sure.
I think that's one of the things that I love the most about OSS is that you guys still there's not a restriction as such on the older body style. I love that last year we had like 6 to 8 different types of cars out there, like different. You had the Ford Fusion, but we also had Mustang. We also had you had the Challenger, but we also had Avengers, and we also had Chargers, and we also had like so you go through and we had an Intrepid.
It's like the
Um,
used car lot out there. It's great.
it really is. I
Yeah.
gotta wonder though, how heavy is that Intrepid? Because that thing it looked like it was heavy out on the racetrack.
Yeah, like the even back when that body was being made, the smart guys were going to performance fiberglass and weighing their panels and picking the lightest ones and taking them home. So I think when Tony Navani was building those bodies back then, they were I think the pressure was more to make it look like the street car more than to make it light for the
Hmm.
racer. So
Yeah.
they weren't really concentrating on how light it was. It was more just make it look good, and they always looked good.
Yeah.
But lately now, I think you can because the technology's a little better with the fiberglass and that they used to explode those panels when you got hit. They just break into a million pieces. But now, um, like I think Tony figured it out before he sold the business. But those panels they take a beating. They bend, they fold, and they're easy to repair, and they seldom break. And yeah, so there's some pretty light bodies out there. So that Dodge we had it was a heavy body for sure. So we're making strides here. I weighed the panels that I'm putting on the new car. We're putting a Fusion body on it, and I'm picking all the lightest panels, and we're making sure we're not suffering with extra weight up high with that. So you're right on.
Well,
Yeah.
it just I don't get me wrong, I love seeing it. And you guys brought the Intrepid probably its best finish since 2008. Um, after doing the statistics, I'm pretty sure it was Cole Weber was the last one to get as high of a finish as you got. I think it was a third or a fourth. I think what it was the best finish in that 9 car last year, and it's the highest it's been since all the way back in like 2000. It wasn't 2008. I think it was 2010. But
Yeah,
um, it just it's hilarious that we still have the Intrepids out there. I still said I want to see a Pontiac Grand Prix out there. I'm still pulling for traveling to bring back because he'll bring anything if he can.
yeah.
But how's it feel, man? You guys are racing still with guys that have been racing for years. And like we talked about, like traveling. You guys were fighting way back in
Yeah.
the CASCAR days, and now you guys are still doing it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to have guys that are as old as we are still racing and being competitive. I was just looking at a video that Susan Shaw, Susan Sponge, Jason Shaw's ex-wife, had put on YouTube back in like 1987 when Jason Shaw's hobby car went over the Flamborough wall into right between the stands and the fence. It was pretty scary. I was in that race, and that was my first year in '87, and I had a Granada, and in the feature, I was in like eighth or tenth or something. There was like 24 cars started the race, and um, I was coming down the front straightaway and the axle broke and I looped it around and she has it right on camera sliding across into the grass, and I got out of the car and she's got me on the camera. I just watched it last night. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool to see an old picture like that, but that's going back.
Yeah.
Man, it's just I wish we had that. I wish we had more guys and gals that were able to get the digitized, because that type of stuff, man, it's history. It's stuff that we want to see, right? It's stuff that it's I wish I could have. I wasn't alive during that time, but I wish I could have seen it.
Well,
Um,
some of the names that were in that race were Scott Lyons, Jeff Hanley, Don Thompson. I think Dennis Thompson was in the Challenger class that night. Like, there's still names out there that are the families are still in racing, or you know the names because they're big. Like Donnie,
yeah,
he was huge.
yeah.
So
I mean, if there was a way to do it, would you try and get I'm just saying, putting it out there. If you could get an old CASCAR name that hasn't raced in years, who are you going to bring back to do a one-off for an OSS race?
well, we talked to J.R. Fitzpatrick about the first race at Delaware this year briefly, just through text, and it sounded like he was interested. So we said we'd set up a meeting, and then this past week he was in Florida, so I think he just got back. So we should be talking to him in the next few days. So he might be in a car this year, so that would be cool. And we're trying to find like people that'll bring some eyes to the sport or to the class, that names that you'll recognize. So hopefully we do that, and hopefully JR and I can work something out with Stimpy, because we're going to do it with Stimpy's car, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's the old 2 car,
Yep.
which was, I forget what number before that. But anyway, yeah, it's a good running car. Won some races in the OSS, so it's a strong running car. And
Yep.
Stimpy,
Todd Shepard's old car.
yeah, and Stimpy's got a
Oh, okay.
604.
Yeah.
We got a Stimpy put a 604 in it, so it's a strong motor. We're not going to run a 602 this year, and same with my car. It's going to have a 604 in it, so we'll be able to run at the front without any excuses.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear this. Oh, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. Now that Shawn was sort of going in that direction, it's really great to see that kind of energy, and in what you said right from the top of the show, in that you're picking up whatever chassis you can find around in order to refurbish and get back out and see that they're racing, and then subsequently filling the seat with names potentially like JR or whoever may show an interest. And you yourself, I mean, you've done the tour in the sense that you've won at 10 tracks around here, and there's not much you don't know in terms of the asphalt discipline. So what does it mean to you to have the Ontario Sportsman Series on the upswing, knowing asphalt racing as you do, Shawn?
Well, any class that's flourishing is good news. I love seeing that. So it's just
Yeah.
I have such a connection to this class. That's why I'm putting the effort to try and help it continue.
Yeah, it
Um,
hits a little harder, right?
yeah, like Maurizio's running it now the last year or two, and he's doing a good job, and he's got some new ideas, and he's really trying, putting an effort in, and he has a passion for it, and what he's doing is great. So we're just trying to help that out, and for this year, that's my effort, where I'm putting my efforts. And then we still have late model cars that I really enjoy racing. So hopefully that's what I'm going to focus on the following year.
I'm hoping that means we get to see you back at ACC. That was a great surprise last year. You guys, I, if I'm not mistaken, you guys, it was like a last minute deal too, that you guys went out there, weren't even on I believe the Saturday. You went out and came back for the Sunday, and got to start at the rear. It didn't go as well as you were hoping, but you got out there and was a part of things. Um, why do you go to those type of events? Is it just a lot of fun, or what is it for you?
Well, Peterborough's really fun to drive. That track
Yeah.
is it's pretty exciting to drive on. And I mean, the end of the year, there's nothing else going on, and we start to miss racing already. So I was going to go to watch anyway, and we thought, well, maybe I can rush this car together and get it ready. So we got there just in time to pull on and start the race. So it was still worth going, and I didn't expect to win, but I wanted to get some laps on the car again, make sure we had everything bolted on right, and turned out the sway bar came loose, so we didn't really have everything right, but we'll have that fixed for the next time out.
I think one of the things that I really love about the OSS is you kind of really do have a really good family there, and there's a lot of really good competitors that always are willing to help each other out, and you've been one of those names that people have mentioned, and the McGlynn family as a whole has been mentioned as, hey, you ever have an issue, these are the guys that'll help you out, and like we said, traveling same way, and before that, the Herniacs, and it seems as if the culture there has always kind of stayed the same. You're starting to get some new faces coming into the division. Do you have some racers that you've competed against that you're like, wow, those kids, they've got something?
Oh yeah, like I was just talking to someone in the last couple of days about Drayton Lapsovich when he started running the APC series. Like you see the talent when you're out there wheel to wheel with them.
Hmm.
Like his brother's obviously a talent too, so is his dad. But when you're talking about young guys and stuff like that, he was really showing, maturity at a young age, like just able to kind of, control his emotions, I think, because you get pushed around a lot out there and it's hard to not retaliate right away. And like I would say probably 50% of the time I retaliate on someone running into me, I end up breaking something on my own car. So, he's smart that way. He doesn't wreck equipment, and hopefully he's one of the guys that gets an opportunity to continue through the ranks like he's going, and it's looking real good for him and Steckley and Pincinel and some other Canadians like Butcher and Noggle, and someone else just won
Cody,
last time.
Corey Hall.
Corey Hall, yeah. Like there's some pretty talented Canadians out there. It's nice to see them finding their way in the U.S.
Well, you made your return to OSS last year. What would you find about the competition level there? You got some young kids, Brad Robinson, Ollie Ferguson. Uh, can't call them. It's too young, Connor James. But they're all out there, and it made you work for it last year.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's part of what's making this series even more fun. That's why really a big part of why I'm gonna run this year, because you're not racing against one or two guys anymore. It's pretty intense, and they're still running very clean and respecting one another. It's not like crash and burn like some of these other classes are running. So yeah, it's nice to be in a division where you have so many different people capable of winning the race. Like it's like being in the APC series. There's drivers out there that can win from 15th forward. So it's pretty cool, and hopefully we continue to get good drivers coming in and developing in the series, and they put a good show on for the fans. And a 100 lap race is always good for everybody. So yeah, it's not a boring race with 100 laps with these cars, because there's so many competitive guys out there.
Yeah, 100%. You're around and cutting your teeth at the tail end of the CASCAR era, and not to draw lines, I mean, but you were part of that series at a time where you can really attest to how steep the competition was, and just how amazing and how awesome that series was. Just what was it like as a strapping young racer coming up and learning the ropes and being really the final champion of CASCAR?
Well, I was really lucky to be afforded the opportunity. When we started at Flamborough, my dad was just like going from having a car that won all the time to putting me in with no experience, and he stuck with me until I got things figured out. And then it was like 3 years later, we were getting a CASCAR and going to race against the big boys, and we were on TSN, and it was so cool. Long races, like some of the races, I think back then 250 or 300 laps was the the longest race back then, and
Yep.
that was pretty grueling. And
Yeah.
like you thought you were a NASCAR guy back doing that. It was pretty amazing. So yeah, I was really lucky to be a part of that. And then back then they had the National Series, which was the 4-barrel carburetor cars, and the
Hmm.
Ontario Series, which was the 2-barrel cars. So the 2-barrel guys raced
Okay.
every Friday at Delaware, and then
Oh,
they also had a
okay.
series that traveled. So you could be part of the regional series, or you could be part of the national series with the 4-barrel. So we ran some of both, but
Yep.
in 2006, that was the year just before NASCAR took over CASCAR, and we were running the Sportsman Series for points that year. So we won the points championship. So that was kind of cool to win the last one of the year.
Yeah.
It's so, man, this is one of those things that CASCAR, I didn't get to see a ton of it because I started getting into the CASCAR racing in '03, and so it was gone by, by '07. But luckily OSS was formed. Um, and in those first couple of years, you had a lot of really good competitors and a lot of a lot of cars, really. And then things kind of took a bit of a dip and things went downhill a little bit. Now things are starting to ramp up again. You said that you were looking at getting, as many cars out there. Do you have a feeling that there is a lot of old CASCAR chassis, old Sportsman chassis still available and they're just hidden in barns somewhere? Or are we looking at potentially like there might be a need to get people from NASCAR to start, you know, selling their cars for a more reasonable amount?
Yeah, well, the cars that we have now, the new ones, they're the two that we picked up. They're newer NASCAR Canadian
Yeah.
Series cars. So yeah, it's already changed. So the old cars, there's a few of them still out there. My brother still runs one with a stock Camaro clip, and there's a few more out there that still run. I don't know how
Mhm.
successful they are, but my dad's still able to get that old thing around the track pretty good. So yeah, you're gonna see that those cars will fade out though because they're heavier chassis, and like
Ah,
the newer ones are built strong and light, and you can put the weight where you want it. So you're gonna see probably a lot more newer cars at the front now. That's pretty much the way it's been now, I guess.
it makes sense. I mean, there's only so many we can hope for. I mean, I know a couple of guys that I've heard that they still have their cars from years ago. I mean, I understand that because I would never probably be able to let go of a race car, and I've heard that it's easier said than done to get rid of race cars. Do
Yeah,
you
you
have
start to
one?
fall in love with them.
Yeah. For
I was gonna say,
sentimental
do you have
value
one?
and
Do you have a sentimental car that you had in the past or still have?
um, Really, for me, I didn't get that way. I'm not attached to things that way. Yeah, I can let it go. So I
yeah.
prefer to get a newer one. So I'm okay with the new ones. Yeah, and the thing is that a lot of the older ones that the people are still in possession of, there's no place for them to run besides this series. So there's no real sale for the old ones.
Exactly, right? So that's the
Yeah,
thing.
they
Let's
kind
get
of
them
come to
out.
the
Let's get them
end.
out. Let's get them to
Yeah,
run. Come on.
yeah. If you have a decent motor, you should be able to get the car out there.
That's
I
what we're
know.
wanting.
Yeah, like number 66 used to run. He's selling his stuff, engines and everything. I can't remember his name right now. God. Oh, Jesus. Whatever.
66 from OSS.
Yeah.
Josh
Yeah.
Wood.
Josh, yeah. So Josh, he's selling his stuff, and it like he won a race. I finished second. I was leading. He got me on the last lap at Delaware. So I mean, his motors are good. Like his
Yeah.
car's handled. So his is probably going to be out on the track with somebody new this year. Who knows? I saw all of his stuff for sale. So
If it's I know Brendan Patrick, they picked up one of his old cars before and that really helped their
oh yeah,
program a lot. So
okay,
hopefully
yeah,
hopefully they'll get that other one because
oh yeah,
Brendan, they went through like three motors last year. So
yeah.
it was a tough season for them and but
Well,
for you, we're really
there were three new guys at the drivers' meetings that have their cars almost done, ready to go. So
Good.
yeah, the series is picking up, and we had good car count last year, so it's only going to be that much better this year. So
It's
yeah,
looking potentially like you guys could have upwards of 20 again at Delaware, potentially 20 around Sauble, Sunset,
I
which
think
a-
so.
again for this division where in 21 without like I put it out there. I mean the Herniacs and Mark Hall and Maurizio when they took this series on, we didn't have the numbers that we had. We had around I think six full time in 21. And the
Yeah,
fact that we're up to, I think last year was around 10 that we ended up with that were supposed to be full time, but we had a couple people that had issues with their cars last year. But to finish with, I think it was eight full time cars, people that competed all throughout the season, and it ended with a tie for third in the championship.
yeah.
Um, it was a solid season. Um, Goals for this year to win the championship, to win races, but what's a track that you want to get back to victory lane at more than any?
Well, we're going to Peterborough, and that track that some of the guys have picked up their lap times, and like we held a track record there for a while, and I think I don't know if we switched tires since then or what, but the lap times there I don't think were as good as we had back like 10 years ago. So I think that was when they ran a Hoosier tire, but
Correct.
um, the tire makes a big difference in lap times. But I'd like to set a track record at that track, and I think it's probably possible. We really can hook up on that track, so that's where I want to shine for sure. And yeah, I want to win the championship.
Uh, we like to talk about or we like to have you talk about your partners too, but you're in the position too as a proprietor of your business that you can market yourself through your race team. Talk a little bit about your company and the services you provide too.
So I run Blast Floor Coating. It's a shot blasting and epoxy floor coating company. We do industrial work, residential, commercial. Um, most it's all cement floor refinishing.
Hmm.
Um, I've got a company that we're starting off. I'm gonna actually launch the company at the Motorama show. It's a product company, so we're going to be selling traction floor coatings.
Nice.
So you're going to see a car done up dedicated to that, and my shirt's kind of a sneak preview of the colors you're going to see there. And the dog's
Cool.
Ooh.
way here. Get down there, puppy. So yeah, so there's things in the works, and we've had Latham metal refinishing on the car for years, and they've been helping us out. Stimpy gets us those guys, and Precision Resources, and we have a few other small sponsors that we'll probably have on the car this year too. So
Nice.
hopefully they can help us out, get us some tire money, and help us, keep the cars on the track, because we're bringing a few cars to the track this year. So it's going to cost some money.
All
No, I
right. The
know
big
my buddies at CGC Racing were singing your praises because you were up there doing the washroom building at the campground, and
Oh
then
yeah,
you laid some turned some wrenches on our bone stock there, so they were
yeah.
very grateful to have a McGlynn lay hands on the bone stock.
Yeah, that was fun. We had some beers and
Yeah,
fun working
I'm
on the
kind of
car.
sad I missed that, honestly.
Yeah, I honestly didn't do too much work there. I was more gabbing than working, so I
Right.
can't take any of the credit for the speed of that car.
before we wrap it up, I'm gonna throw one more question at you, Sean. Are we seeing the return of the legendary 81 number this year, or are you gonna go with something else?
I'm gonna use the number one. It fits with the new logo, so
There we go.
Traction Floor Coatings is gonna have one within the logo, so that's gonna be the way it goes this year.
Sweet.
Yeah.
There we go. It's a number one Ford. Are you going to go with a Fusion or a Mustang, or are we going to have to wait?
It's a Fusion.
A Fusion.
Fusion,
So
yeah.
it's going to be fast because if you haven't seen Shawn McGlynn before, he does things very fast on the racetrack. Glad to have you on the podcast finally. It's been an absolute honor to have you on, Shawn. Best of luck this season in the Ontario Sportsman Series. And you guys can follow along www.ontariosportsmanseries.ca for all the information for the OSS in 2025. Thank you, Shawn McGlynn, here on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast.
Yeah, thanks, guys.